all of you, and welcome to this workshop, Emotions at Work. Somewhere I read that marriage is like a workshop where the husband works and the wife shops. Nowadays you can say the reverse also. And if both are working, then husband and wife work and the children shop. So this is an interactive workshop on emotions and how do we manage these emotions. Many of you have very kindly replied to one of the questions that we had sent to you. So we have based this workshop on some of those inputs. I begin with a beautiful quote of Swami Chinmayanji where he said that success is a tribute that life pays to excellence. That all of us want to be very successful in whatever we do in personal life, in professional life, even in our social life. And success is something that everyone seeks. But why is it that few people follow, few people achieve that? One of the reasons is the heart. Just before the workshop began, I was just meeting one of the participants and they said that it is very important maybe to do lesser but to give the full heart to it. So that's a very nice point because it is our heart which makes us feel for something. And when we feel, we give ourselves fully. And when we give ourselves fully to something, we derive more satisfaction out of it also. So this excellence is something which one pursues, the quality of one's work, the quality of one's emotions, the vision that one has. So we are talking about excellence in a holistic way. And specifically in this workshop, we will talk about the emotional excellence. Because it is many times we find that the emotions which hijack our vision. And so it is, we say that life management is equal to mind management. And mind management is equal to emotions management. Beautiful point in the Gita is, mind is our best friend and mind is our worst enemy. The mind which is in our control or the mind which has been befriended by us, which has positive emotions, is the mind which is our best tool to achieve success. And the same mind, when it gets hijacked with negative emotions, distractions, etc., becomes a difficulty to achieve success, though we may know many things. And so in this mind of ours, the emotions are that which play a very, very vital role. And so there are these three aspects in our personality: emotion, vision, and the action. The emotion is that which, when it is positive, the vision which we have can very well manifest into the action. But when the emotion is not controlled, when the emotion is negative, when the emotion is impulsive, then both the things are the vision and the action, both of them get affected. Very classic example we see is in the Mahabharata war. Arjun is a symbol of each one of us. He is a dynamic man of action, wanting to be successful, has prepared himself for more than 12 years, acquired weapons, has waited for this most important day. And when when that day arrived and when he stood there, very confident he was, he told Sri Krishna that place the chariot between the two armies. I want to see my opponents, I want to see who has come to fight me. And when Sri Krishna placed the chariot between, suddenly what happened to him? He started shivering, he started trembling, he started sweating, he couldn't hold his bow. Not that he was nervous to fight a war, he has fought so many wars before. Not that he is scared that he may get defeated, but his emotions completely overwhelmed his thoughts. At that point he suddenly realized that now I have to destroy these opponents, and they are my relatives, they are my grandfather, my teacher, my friends, my family members. And when he realized that, the emotions in him completely eclipsed his thinking. So his vision as a soldier to protect righteousness and his dynamism in action, both of them got completely hijacked. And so it is that emotions play a very vital role, and most of you are aware that nowadays, in 1990s actually, 1990s Daniel Goleman came up with this emotional intelligence, and it was introduced in the corporate world also. So how do we manage these emotions? Because we work with people, and people are mainly emotional. Also nowadays we work in global era, where there's so much of cross cultures, people from different backgrounds working in an organization. So each person's mindset is different, their emotions are different, what they value is many times different. How do we work in synergy when we are working as a team with people from different backgrounds? So few aspects of these emotions is what we are going to explore. So emotions have a very, very great power, and they inspire energy, enthusiasm, and when I feel for something, then a lot happens. We are not driven only by just targets and some goals which are set up, but when we feel for that goal, then we are prompted to give our best. And it is the same emotions which, when they turn into emotionalism, they completely ruin everything. So in a lot of feedback that has come from all of you, some of the issues are about anger, about frustration, about impulsiveness, about not being able to control oneself in face of disappointments. So one aspect we will handle through this workshop is that we will see methods to manage our emotions which are impulsive, and also the deeper aspects, that how do we anchor ourselves in something deeper so that we don't become impulsive. So very important aspect of life is to have a mind which is calm, which is conflict free. Because only when the mind is calm, our intellect is sharper, our decisions are right, rational and rewarding. In the case of Arjun, we find that when his emotions totally eclipsed him, he decided that he doesn't want to fight. So one of the things that happens when we get emotionally hijacked is our decision making gets affected. And first thing to be done is, when I am emotionally disturbed, I must postpone my decision. I should not decide in an emotionally disturbed state. Luckily for Arjuna, at that point in time, Shri Krishna was there and he sought guidance and he found it. Otherwise, he had decided that he wants to go away, and once he decided that, then he built his arguments first. So what happens when emotions take up our thinking is, we emotionally conclude and then build up justifications. Other way it should be, where we first find out the reasoning and then we come to a conclusion. But when emotions disturb us, we conclude first, I don't want to do this. And then we have many, many reasons why. So if the mind becomes calm, if we see, there are a lot of other aspects of the Gita, but one of the main things that happened in the Gita is, before the Gita, Arjun's mind was absolutely disturbed. And the knowledge that the Lord gave him, at the end of the Gita we find that same rejected, depressed Arjun becomes a dynamic man of action. So what is that knowledge which can help us to maintain calmness of mind, not allow the emotions to eclipse our thinking? And that is a very important life skill to have, not only at work, but in every aspect of life. And so the mind must become calm, mind must be peaceful. A calm mind is the most important factor for success, whether it is in sports, whether it is in business, in relationships, anywhere. A mind which is at peace. There was one teacher who asked the students, do you like war or do you like peace? So the students said, we like peace. So the teacher asked why? He said, because wars create history and we have to remember it. We like peace. How to maintain peace? In fact, one of the, in Dr. Abha's session, you will see the acronym of peace also. Various points by which we can learn to maintain a peaceful mind. So J.R.D. Tata, he said something very inspiring. He said, I don't want India to be a superpower, I want India to be a happy country. Many times we wonder, what does happiness have to do with success? Do you think that we become happy when we become successful? Or we are successful when we are happy? When we become successful, then we will become happy? Or when we are happy, we will become in this hall, when we are happy, we are successful. Outside this hall, when we are successful, we are happy. And no doubt both can go together also. Obviously, everybody wants success because it makes them feel good, makes them feel happy. And there's nothing wrong about it. Somebody said that the inventor of matchbox was very, very happy. Why? Because it was a striking success. So the idea is that in our minds, many times the equation is when I am successful, then I will be happy. So a lot of times we are anxious, we are stressed, we are worried. Will I get that success or not? And that itself hampers the performance. But if we learn to keep ourselves happy, our efficiency will be high, performance will be much better, success can be a byproduct. You can do some research on TED and you will find this person called Sean Ecker. He has even written a book called The Happiness Advantage. He spoke on the TED platform also. And his point is very simple. His point is this, that we have to rewire ourselves to think that when I am happy, then I am going to be successful. So how do I keep myself happy? Rather than postpone that happiness and wait that when success comes, then only I will be happy. And very nice points he speaks about there, how to be happy and perform. So why did J.R.D. Tata say this? That if I am a happy country, if we are a happy country, we will automatically succeed. Today there are many countries who are so-called developed countries, but the happiness is not, you don't experience that happiness. There are so many conflicts, so many problems there. It is said that in the happiness index, can you guess which is the country which is at the top?
Costa Rica.
Japan.
Costa Rica.
Japan.
Bhutan.
Bhutan comes first. India comes number 32. USA comes number 50. You see, the thing here is that when we become so obsessed with success and we don't have the most vital skill for success, which is the ability to keep the mind quiet, we get stressed out very often. And today's stress is like it's normal. If you ask somebody, how are you? If you get a chance, you should just ask, how are you, and go. Otherwise, they will start stressed out. Emotions at work, I don't know how many people will register. Should we do the workshop? Should we not do the workshop? Mind gets very stressed out, very easily. It has become a lifestyle, actually, not a lifestyle disease. It has become a lifestyle. Stress is a lifestyle. Yeah, if you say I am fine, I am happy, then there is something wrong with you. You are not doing anything worthwhile. If you have some goals in life, you must be stressed. And stress, we have all kinds of justification. There is positive stress called eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S, and negative stress called distress. In spirituality, we say there is no need to be stressed. Positive stress may be good for people who are lazy, who are unproductive, who need to be pushed to perform. But that's not the only way to live. Higher way to live is by inspiration, not by stress. How to be inspired in life to perform. So that is what we are going to see, that how to use the power of emotion to inspire ourselves. That emotions have so much of strength and we don't have to fear these emotions. Basically, they say that there are only two motivations behind any action. One is fear and other is love. We may do certain things out of fear. Even when we perform, I must have that success because if I don't, then I will lose my job. Somebody else will take it. So that there is a fear aspect, or there is a love aspect. That I love to do this work. I enjoy this whole process, and it is something which is my calling. How do we transform those fearful, stressful aspects into the love aspects? Is what we will explore. So in the Gita, Arjuna asks this question to the Lord in 6th chapter, where he says that, there are 4 difficulties with my mind, O Lord. You may say many things. Keep the mind balanced, keep it equanimous, do not be affected by success, failure, all that you may say. But I have a practical problem, and that is my mind is extremely fickle. It jumps from one thought to another. It doesn't stay focused. And nowadays with the technological stimulation that we have, oh my God. Get it? Yeah, multitasking. Again is a way of life. And I can't focus on one thing at a time. While I am doing the work, there is a notification, then there is a WhatsApp message, and then there is an SMS, and then there is some email. Mind keeps getting divided. Fickle. Jumps from one thing to another. So one of the great qualities of achievers is their ability to switch off from distractions and spend time in focus. Each one of us have to find that how do we maintain this focus of our life. Sometime in the day we must have that. It cannot be that we are all the time distracted. Second, he says it is very impulsive. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati, highly impulsive. We know so many things are right. We know anger is not good. We know that if I say this, it will hurt the opposite person. We know that I should not impulsively decide on something. I must consult other people, but impulse. Third thing he says, it is very strongly attached. Fixation of ideas. One of the biggest problems in any organization is resistance to change. And the world is changing at such a fast pace today that it is not possible to succeed if I am attached to certain ways of functioning, to certain ideas. I must be able to adapt. So the mind gets very easily attached to certain ways of functioning, certain ideas, certain people, and I can't let go of them. Even though I know that this person's presence may not be very beneficial for the whole project, but I am attached, I want that person in my team. So it very easily gets attached. And even if I want to pull it away, it is unyielding. These are 4 problems that the mind has. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadrita. And Arjuna says that this mind, to control this, tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. To control this mind is more difficult than controlling even a mighty storm. So what does Shri Krishna tell us? First and foremost, he accepts that yes, Arjuna, it is difficult. Asamshayam mahavaho manodurnigram. It is indeed, Arjuna, what you are saying is true. One of the ways of responding is beautiful, we learn from Shri Krishna. He knows when to accept what the opposite person is saying and make that person feel at home, feel not judged, feel comfortable, and give a solution. And he also knows when to whip. Not that every time one gives it. In the beginning of the Gita, Arjuna was just crying in self-pity. There was no sympathy that Shri Krishna showed him. He whipped him up. And now when he is genuinely expressing a problem, not out of self-pity or anything else, he says, yes, it is difficult. And 2 solutions he gives is what we will explore through this workshop. First solution he gives is practice. Practice of certain stabilizers which can help us to control the fickleness and impulsiveness. And then he speaks about detachment, which is to anchor ourselves in the attitude of flexibility, of acceptance. So through the workshop today, and I think that most of the things that all of you have expressed will get covered in these 2 hours. And if anything is not covered, then you are of course welcome to ask. We have a Q&A session also. Now let's start with the first one. That is very necessary to train ourselves to be calm, to handle these impulsive reactions or provocative situations that somebody says something and I get provoked, or something happens, I get provoked. What do? I need to have something to hold on to. The mind must have some stabilizer to hold on. Holding on to that, we allow that impulsive moment to pass. Like a simple example, when we feel very sleepy sometimes and we still need to work, what do? Somebody will have coffee. I take a break, go stand up, walk around, do something, come back. Different people do different things because that moment of sleep has to pass. Once that moment passes, we are good for the next few more hours. Same way, that moment of anger, that moment of impulsiveness, that needs to pass. And at that moment, there is a lot of energy. Where do I channelize that energy? Because there is no way to channelize it, it destroys, it expresses it. Now, some research was done and very interesting they found that when we are angry, the energy generated in our body can light a bulb for a few days. Really. So maybe we have solution for future electricity problem. So the idea is so much of energy, I need to channelize it. It's just that mind is very impulsive if the energy is in a wrong direction, that's all. But there is a lot of energy generated. So what are those stabilizers which I need to practice and then keep my mind and keep my mind stable? And second is the attitudinal shifts. We need to anchor in certain types of attitudes in life. See, earlier one is some techniques which help to let that emotion pass, let that moment pass. That's only a treatment of a symptom. There must be a deeper understanding and anchoring into certain attitudes by which those situations no more arise where I have to use a stabilizer, where I can be grounded, anchored so much more better, that I don't get tempted so easily, I don't get reacted so easily. Those are a few attitudes, and mainly that is about detachment. So now coming to the first one, the stabilizer. That when somebody says something, let us say my subordinate is working with me and that person is supposed to deliver at a point in time, but he did not deliver. And that has created so much of a trouble. And naturally it will be that I feel anger. Now what do I do at such times? In that emotional intelligence they say, it is important to understand, even biologically we are made in such a way that our emotions are built to hijack us. If you see here, the information enters through the spine, and here is what we have, what they call amygdala. And they have this term, amygdala hijack. That the amygdala gets hijacked. That's the area of the brain where these emotions, etc. are played. And then comes this frontal lobe, where the thinking, etc. happens. So any information before we process it rationally has to pass through the emotional centers of the brain. And those emotional centers of the brain, they get activated first. And so most of the time the impulse is such that because the emotional centers are so triggered and we do not have a method to come back to the rationality very fast, we remain reactive. So at such moments, what do? Why this is necessary to know is just to be aware that neurologically we are programmed like that. But there is a lot we can do to change. Because you see, amygdala is there in everyone, not only in human beings, even in animals. But this frontal lobe, which we call as buddhi or the intellect or the rational capacity to discriminate, that is there only in the human beings. And that's the choice we can always make. That even if emotion is impulsive, I can choose to come back to the rationality. So these methods which we are going to see now help us in such times when emotionally we are hijacked to come back to rationality. Let us see a few of them. first stabilizer for sense impulse is to delay the response. Whenever I am disturbed, what we spoke in the beginning, decision making should be postponed and I must delay my response. At that moment, if Arjun had impulsively acted, he would have just gone away. So many things would have got disturbed. But luckily, he was able to delay the response. Many times it happens to us, an email comes and we get very disturbed by that email. Or somebody says something, we get very disturbed. Or something happened which is very disappointing. At such moments, we do want to react immediately. But how do I delay my response? That delayed response is a very, very powerful capacity that we have to cultivate consciously. Where I have to tell myself that I will respond to this, but not now, after 1 hour, after a few moments, or maybe tomorrow. This capacity can come to us only when we learn to do the same thing at good times, which is what in popular self-help books, one of the beautiful books is The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck. In that he speaks about delaying gratification, that I must be able to delay the impulse to enjoy also. If I cannot control the impulse to enjoy, I cannot control the impulse to react. Because it is the same part of the brain which governs both the impulsiveness. Just that impulsive enjoyment. So the moment I see a nice sweet, I feel impulsively that I must go and eat. Can I delay that gratification at that time? If I can do that, then I can hold back even my response when there is something which is disturbing. So one of the favorite videos of mine is this, where we speak about, where this TED talk is there, and where they are explained about this delaying gratification concept and how it is so very important factor for success.
I'm here because I have a very important message. I think we have found the most important factor for success. And it was found close to here, Stanford. Psychology professor took kids that were 4 years old and put them in a room all by themselves. And he would tell the child, a 4-year-old kid, Johnny, I'm going to leave you here with a marshmallow for 15 minutes. If after I come back, this marshmallow is here, you will get another one. So you will have 2. To tell a 4-year-old kid to wait 15 minutes for something that they like is equivalent to tell us, we'll bring you coffee in 2 hours. Exact equivalent. So, what happened when the professor left the room? As soon as the door closed, 2 out of 3 ate the marshmallow. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 8 minutes. Some lasted 14 and a half minutes. Couldn't do it. Could not wait. What's interesting is that 1 out of 3 would look at the marshmallow and go like this. Would look at it, put it back. They would walk around. They would play with their skirts and pants. That child already at 4 understood the most important principle for success, which is the ability to delay gratification. Self-discipline, the most important factor for success. 15 years later, 14, 15 years later, follow-up study. What did they find? They went to look for these kids that were now 18 and 19, and they found that 100% of the children that had not eaten the marshmallow were successful. They had good grades, they were doing wonderful, they were happy, they had their plans, they had good relations with the teachers, students, they were doing well fine. A great percentage of the kids that ate the marshmallow, they were in trouble. They did not make it to the university, they had bad grades, some of them dropped out, a few were still there with bad grades, a few had good grades. I had a question in my mind. Will Hispanic kids react the same way as the American kids? So I went to Colombia And I reproduced the experiment, and it was very funny. I used 4, 5, and 6 years old kids. And let me show you what happened.
Hasta para un niño de 4 años, es atractiva la idea de tener el 5% de retorno a la inversión en 15 minutos. Sin embargo, algunos de ellos, tan pronto la puerta se cerró, se volvieron al suelo inmediatamente. Resistieron el impulso.
Hispanic kids, 2 out of 3 ate the marshmallow, 1 out of 3 did not. This little girl was interesting. She ate the inside of the marshmallow. In other words, she wanted us to think that she had not eaten it, so she would get 2, but she ate it. So we know she'll be successful, but we have to watch her. Okay? She should not go into banking, for example, or work in a cash register, but she will be successful. And this applies for everything, even in sales. The salesperson that customer says, I want that, and say, okay, here you are, the person ready marshmallow. If the salesperson says, wait a second, let me ask you a few questions to see if this is a good choice, then you sell it on more. So this has applications in all walks of life. I end with the Koreans did this. You know what? This is so good. We want a marshmallow book for children. And we did one for children, and now it's all over Korea. They're teaching these kids exactly this principle, and we need to learn that principle here in the States because we have a big debt. We're eating more marshmallows than we're producing. Thank you so much.
So the ability to delay the gratification. We must practice that in different times. So we have to find out what are the things which we impulsively enjoy. Generally we only find what are the things to which we react. But we have to find out what are the things to which we impulsively enjoy or which we do impulsively. Like browsing, chatting, even that we do many times impulsively. In the midst of work we just land up doing that, impulsively. So what do I enjoy impulsively, and in that can I have this delayed gratification? Then this will work very good. In a very different way, in the same principle, in a different way, Kabir Das ji has put it, and many of you may know, a very simple doha where he said, Dukh mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi, jo sukh mein sumiran kare, to dukh kahe ko. And at good times, when I am able to control my mind, then only it will become easy to control at the difficult time. So first is to be able to delay my response, and for that I must learn to delay the gratification. Second aspect is breathing, is a very powerful method to come back to the rational part of the mind. When we do deep breathing, when we are impulsive, our breathing is very shallow, we are not even aware of the breathing. A few deep breaths, we take in, exhale out, and while we do that, we can tell ourselves relax. Another aspect is count not 1 to 20, but 20 to 1. I don't know why that is, but this works better than 1 to 20. The reverse counting, 20 to 1. And how does this work? Help? Because straight away I am invoking the logical part of my brain. From the emotionally hijacked state, when I start counting, I am invoking the rational part and it will help. To different people, different things help. There are different stabilizers, whichever one can be helpful, we can use them. Another thing we can do is ask how first and not why. Ask how first and then why later. Typically when we get reactive, we ask why. Why did this happen? Why did you do like this? That disturbs. First ask, okay, this has happened, how do I handle this? Then find out the cause. No, not that cause should not be found out. I need to address the situation, I need to find what is the cause and then take specified measures, whatever I need to do next time to prevent it. But always ask how first, not why. Because interesting thing is, why many times doesn't have an answer. Even in science doesn't answer why questions. Why is the speed of light only this much? Science cannot answer. I'm not saying every why science doesn't answer, but many of the questions which begin with why, there is no answer to. Or the answer is not very logical. Suppose you say to the person, why did you do this? The person may have reacted impulsively, he may not have a proper answer to do. Answer to explain. It just happened. That irritates me more. How can it just happen? So when we ask why, chances are we react more. Better it is to ask how. How do I face this now? Now this has happened. Visualize being calm and composed. This is very, very important. Whether I do prayer or meditation, etc. is a different question. But do I visualize myself being calm and composed? And especially when I know that there is something which is a provocative situation where I can explore. If I am going into a meeting and I know that these are a few issues which are going to be raised and these are very sensitive ones and this may create, and in that this particular person is the one who can be a source of trouble or who can disturb my mind, I must visualize that whole thing. I am doing it very calmly. The whole meeting I am going to handle it very calmly. What happens to many of us is we actually visualize anger. And we burn. And we say, I am going to give it back. This person today meeting with having, I am going to give a piece of my mind to that person. Last time the person said like this and got away. Now this time I am going to do this. We visualize and build up so much of anger. And then we go. So important it is to visualize being calm and composed, and this mental visualization accompanied by the feeling that I am calm and composed. In psychology they call this as positive auto-suggestion. I do auto-suggestion with visualization, and even the most angry person, most irritated person, most irritable person can, through this consistent practice of visualizing, become calm. This is not something which is very artificial, but this is something where I really value being calm, and what I visualize very strongly, and especially when the mind has been gradually brought to a state of quietude, and then I visualize this. That really helps. So even 5-10 minutes I can spend every day visualizing myself being calm. And definitely we must cultivate tolerance and patience. We are living in a world which is very, very fast. Everything is fast. ASAP, fatafat, jaldi, quick, instant, all that is in our vocabulary. Very fast. So patience is something which when we don't have, we get very irritated. And small things, in a traffic jam we are stuck. How much energy goes in that? It's something unavoidable. But I am stuck in a traffic jam. Mind gets disturbed. Little bit of patience and tolerance. Especially when working with people, tolerance is such an important quality because necessary it is to give time to people to grow at their own pace. We are in a situation where we pray to the Lord, oh Lord, please give me patience now. Not immediately. Please hurry. Tell me, I don't have time. I need more patience quickly. So patience and tolerance one has to cultivate. These are things which I have to tell myself, that be patient, be calm. A lot of things take their own time. On one hand, we are living in a very, very fast world. On the other hand, we also know that we need to slow down. Because that fast pace is not very natural. Sometimes one can live fast. But if that pace becomes my way of life, then I will constantly be irritated, constantly be in a state of frustration. So tolerance and patience are something which one must cultivate, at least subjectively. You may say that Swamiji, in corporate world it doesn't work, they always have a unreasonable timeline because they need to be ahead of the competition and so many other things. That's all the more the requirement for me to be patient and tolerant inside. Externally the time pressure is there, but more of the pressure is the inside in the mind. That how do I learn to be patient within? If I have something which is an inspiring ideal, then I am not stuck in petty little issues. The reason why we get very disturbed and fluttered is the ideal or a goal which I am holding is not very inspiring. So I pick up petty quarrels, you did not do this, you did not say this, you did not behave like this, you did not complete this. Little things. One starts speaking on it. What is the purpose? What is the higher ideal? What is the bigger picture? That one has to constantly keep that in the mind. If that one can bring oneself to that, what is the main purpose and how do I achieve that? Maybe this did not happen, but how do I not lose my focus on that? So constantly when we tell ourselves, one of the beautiful definitions of obstacle, Swamiji gave us is, obstacles arise when you lose sight of the goal. That the goal is what? If my eyes are fixed on the goal, okay, this is what I want to achieve. On the way, I will not lose focus, and anything that comes on the way, I don't get totally hijacked by it, because I am constantly focused on that goal. And what is my purpose? Why am I doing this? Or what does the company have to achieve? So that ideal must be inspiring. And lastly, I can always tell myself to be at peace. In our culture, we use this Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Tell oneself, be at peace. Calm down. You can use any other expression also that you like. Just learn to calm down. And please tell this only to yourself. If somebody else is angry, don't tell them, Om Shanti, Shanti. It will be more Ashanti after. So tell us, Om Shanti. These are very simple methods to handle impulsiveness, but they work, and I have to practice. The reason why Sri Krishna said one of the points there was practice is I have to practice these in my daily life, not just at the time when I get angry. So I can practice visualizing being calm. I can practice tolerance and patience in many aspects. If I am standing in a queue, I can have patience. If there is something which is taking time to get done, I need to have patience. So these are things which one can practice. And when we start practicing these, we get the ability to control the impulsiveness of the emotions. Now let's play a small game. There is this mental concentration and information processing test. This has to be started at the same time. So you just hold the sheet in front of you. Don't start. Just keep the sheet right like this. And when we say start, then you can start. So what is supposed to be done? If you see in the beginning what is written here, the instructions, what is said here, this test will assess your powers of concentration and your information processing ability. You should comfortably complete this test within a few minutes if you read everything properly and quickly before writing anything. How many of us did that? So generally we don't do. Impulsively we start doing certain things. The instruction given here is read everything. So if you had read everything, you would have come to question number 12. What does it say? Ignore all the numbered instructions on the sheet except instruction 12 and write the letter pass into the boxes. How many of you wrote pass in the boxes? But there are two words after it. It says if empty. Are the boxes empty? At the top right of this sheet, are the boxes empty? Boxes are not empty. 1, 2, 3, 4 is written in the boxes. So you are not supposed to write pass, not supposed to write fail. You are not supposed to do anything. Just return the paper as it is. But we got to know about pizza and burger and so many things people like. And just now we spoke about impulse control. How impulsively we do things, just imagine. The ability to process is not there. Did we do action impulsively or not? Tell me. Our amygdala got hijacked, no? Yes. Impulsively we did. But I would like you all to put your hands together and give a big round of applause for Nishant. So we followed it. At least he recognized it, saying that I was not supposed to do anything, and with blank sheet, this sheet has to be given as it is. Most of the places people don't recognize that. That's the normal way which we get carried away by our own conditioning. That I am supposed to do something. So impulse control, we were on that point. Another aspect is identify the low energy time through the day. In everybody's life, in each day, there will be certain hours or certain moments where the energy is low. At those moments is when we are very prone to irritability. And these are the things which make our mind control difficult, when we are not aware of those moments. Sometimes when we are very hungry, we say, no, hungry man is a angry man. Really, to me typically that happens, so I have become aware of that. So when I start getting hungry, I know that I am on the verge of irritability. So better go and eat something. This is a fact, it happens to so many of us. Many times we don't realize it is that because the body energy is low in the body and you are giving so much more in work, irritability, and at that point even if a silly question is asked by somebody, then you are finished. That person will regret even talking. So the idea is that I must know what are my low energy points. It is sometimes because of sleep, I haven't slept enough, sometimes because I haven't eaten enough. We don't have small meals through the day. So the person should know what is that which is my low energy time. Evening snack especially, between lunch and dinner is such a long gap, but evening snack is important. So identify what is my low energy point. Sometimes it is that in the mornings my energies are low because I am working till late in the night. So in the morning my energy is low, I am having that phase of irritability. So each one must find out, and at that time take whatever help required, maybe a small snack, maybe a power nap. Some people wake up so early in the morning, maybe they have to travel to work, reach there, then start working. So a power nap for 10-15 minutes in the afternoon is a must. So each one has to find out their own ways. And also we have to ensure that we take rest, nobody else will give it to us. A very nice line said that the bow which is constantly strung is a bow which loses flexibility. We have to unstring the bow so that the bow remains flexible and maximum. It can be pulled, it can bend for the arrow to reach farthest. So each one of us have to work in such a way that we balance rest and work. Our Guruji Swami Tejomananji says very nicely, don't work without rest and don't rest without work. Beautiful balance must be there between rest and work. And if I can't balance on a day-to-day basis, I must balance on a weekly basis. Earlier slide we had a point about sleep debt. Sleep debt the body maintains. So if I know that I need 8 hours of sleep and I haven't slept enough, the body maintains a sleep debt. Meaning the subconscious mind is aware, I haven't slept enough, I need more sleep, I need more rest, and I'm pushing myself to do work. At those times at such times when I become very, very irritable, when the sleep debt is very high. So I must learn to take rest physically, and of course mentally I must know ways to unwind myself in ways which refreshes me. Today the unwinding happens in such a way that relaxation also is tiring. That's why our Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda used to say that the work when we do 5 days a week or 6 days a week, and the next part of the week is called as weekend. Why? Because we indulge so much in that weekend that the whole body is weakened. And then we have Monday morning blues. Oh God, again I have to go for work, and we are so stressed out about that. So the unwinding mentally also which we do must be such which helps me to refresh myself, rejuvenate myself, not completely exhaust me. So each one has to find, and during the work if I can find ways to unwind. So nowadays they say take a breath break every 2 hours. There are apps on the computer which help you to do that. Nowadays there are apps on the computer to drink water. Sound will come from the computer. It means that you are supposed to drink water now. I am not joking, a lot of people use it because it's a reminder. Because we are so engrossed in work and sedentary lifestyle, and we are sitting. Sounds funny, suddenly you are working, sounds funny. Anyway, it's good. So, in the Mac there is an app called Timeout. You can use that Timeout app which you program that at 2 hours the screen will become light. You can't do anything in that time. So you have to get up and walk. And they have the option to put music also. You put some nice music. So in that break, that music will keep playing. You get up, you go, you do whatever. So I have to find those ways to unwind. Nature is some very nice way to unwind. So when we see greenery, our eyes also relax, our mind also relaxes, and keep the sleep debt low. And last, Yoga Nidra, sorry I skipped that point. Yoga Nidra is consciously learning to relax each part of the body. So I close my eyes and I visualize, okay, this is my face. So I visualize my face and then feel that part of the body and take a deep breath, and as I exhale, I tell myself, relax, relax, relax. This I have to do with the whole body. Because what happens is the biology of our body shows that the emotions get locked up into the body in terms of stress, in terms of pain, in terms of inflexibility. So there are a lot of people, if you see their shoulders, they will be like this always. Because they are stressed about work, and when they relax, then the shoulder comes down. For some of the ladies, the stress gets accumulated in the back. For some who are constantly standing and doing work in the kitchen, etc., it locks up in the knees. So in different places of the body, the emotional stress gets locked up. And we have to consciously release that. So either do it through progressive muscle relaxation, PMR, or Yoga Nidra, both being the same. So if I am sitting on the chair, I can do that consciously. Sit quietly, close the eyes, visualize the part of the body, take a deep breath, and while you exhale, you say relax. And this will take 5-10 minutes max. And you will consciously help to relax. And in impulsiveness, the last point to discuss is punching bags. We must know who are our punching bags, or what is my punching bag. If I don't have specific punching bag, then everybody will become my punching bag. And there are some people who keep on complaining to everybody. They like to be like that. It gives them a lot of feeling that, I am victimized, so much problem in my life, and still, I am going on, what to do. So I must know. Everybody needs some way to vent out that stress or something. But I should know who are my punching bags or what is my punching bag. If I have anger, etc., I should know how to get it out, not suffocate and suppress it, and at the same time not keep repeating it again. Suppose I tell you a joke, a very nice joke. If I tell you, what will you do? Your response will be, you will laugh. If I tell you the same joke again, what will you do? You may just smile. If third time I tell you the same joke, you will say, "Yaar, कोई दूसरा joke नहीं है." If fourth time also I tell you the same joke, you will say, "क्यों बका रहे हो?" If fifth time I tell you the same joke, you will get up and walk away, saying, "Enough is enough now." But you just think about it. 55% of our thoughts we carry forward from yesterday to today. Same story. Now, then. And we expect the person also to respond sensitively to it. How long? That's why many people, as they come, people say, "Arey bhago, aago." When you get scared, now again that same story will repeat. They are called whiners. Whiners means they go on whining. Same thing they will repeat again. Or little difference here and there, but the story basically will be, "I am a victim." Self-victimization is one of the biggest causes of. Is there any medicine on this? Of course, medically, I mean, Dr. Abba Shah can tell you there is anything for. Yeah. But spiritually, the person has to understand. I mean, we say that it's more of an attitudinal shift. That one has to be happy with the positive aspects, not try to pray for happiness by feeling victimized. So this is first aspect of emotions at work and how to handle the impulsiveness, etc. Now we come to the second aspect. So you have to do this small exercise. Describe yourself using 10 adjectives. Write down 10 adjectives. Now we love to ask in interview. Come on, describe yourself. Just write 10 adjectives. How do I describe myself? Easy. So anyone wants to share? Yes.
Energetic, positive, caring, loving, considers the other's point of view, fun-loving, demanding, go-getter, trustworthy, dependent.
Anyone else?
Calm, emotional, understanding, foodie, adventurous, adjustable, anxious, moody, confused, forget things.
I'm strong, positive, survivor, jovial, good learner. Tamasic means lethargic at times. Heavy, active in mind, good motivator, loving.
That was anyone? Yes. Actually,
Yeah.
you can introduce yourself
Yeah.
and from where you are, your name, and then share.
Yeah, my name is Kaustal from CDS Tech, a software professional. Young, intelligent, witty, shy, thoughtful, careful, cynical, helpful, ambitious, and emotional.
So, why did we do this exercise? Does it have anything to do with emotions? what I think about myself, has it anything to do with my emotions?
Yeah, it helps
What's
you.
the first 4 adjectives which you have written? Is perhaps what you require from others?
Not
How
necessarily.
you perceive, how you want others to perceive you?
Maybe, but that is not necessary. That may be also how I perceive, because right now I am writing about myself. Maybe the first few things that I write are about what I really predominantly think about myself. If you have thought and written intellectually, that is a different point of view. What you feel about yourself is what you are supposed to write. So think about what you have written, those 10 adjectives, are they born out of your feeling or are they just some intellectual points? If they are born out of your feeling, that is what is the self-esteem of ours. And especially the top few are how I look at myself. And what happens in emotions at work is this, that the anchors that we are going to speak about are, the first aspect is self-love and self-esteem. My self-love for myself determines a lot of my self-esteem, and that in turn determines my relationship with other people. How I look at myself defines how my relationships will be. We'll come to it as we go along, and that's where the other 3 aspects about acceptance, detachment and meditation they come in. So we did this exercise, very simple one, but just to know, because in emotions what happens is, one of the first aspects of emotional intelligence is to be aware of my feelings and my emotions. We are not even aware. And we are not even aware of how my image about myself is influencing all my emotions. If I look at myself as somebody who has a very good self-esteem, my relationship with people will be nice, I will be cordial, warm, loving, etc. But if I feel not so good about myself, I myself have a low self-esteem. To that extent there will be dependency, to that extent there will be agitation, to that extent there will be craving for appreciation from other people. And all those emotions, they do affect the performance as we go along.
I was just thinking, I can have opposite very easily at the exact same time. So I could be eager to do something but lazy to do something else.
Correct. That's possible. That's the.
It happens to me at work all the time.
It happens to all of us. We are passionate about some things and we are not disinterested about some things.
So at the same time, I could be at dichotomy of a given scenario.
But that is not actually dichotomy. The dichotomy is for the same thing at the same time if I have interest and disinterest. That is the dichotomy. In this case, it is interest for something and disinterest for something else.
So it still has to be done.
Huh?
It still has to be done.
Yeah, but that is not called a dichotomy, but that's the natural human tendency. Like a student, some students will love maths and science and will not love maybe geography. But he has to study geography and pass. I mean, there is no choice in that. So one has to know that that's not actually dichotomy, but that's natural tendency. And then once I'm aware of it, so that's why they say that if you do what you don't like, you will be able to do what you really like. Even in that Stephen Covey's time management aspect, where he says first things first. I may not like to exercise, or I may not like to get up and do my prayer or do some spend time in meditation or all that. But those are very important things and I must do them first. Or even the task. Something I may not like, but it's an important job to be done from the company perspective and I have to finish that first. So that the mind control starts when I become aware. These are the things which I really don't like, but I have to push myself to do them. And it is impractical to think that I will love everything. It will never happen.
Is that self-esteem dependent on only on how we see ourselves, or is it also dependent on how we think about things and situations? So what question he asked is like 2 directions. So how we think about different things, is that also a contributor to our self-esteem?
Yes, so how we think about things also influences my self-esteem. but mainly it is the other way. How I think about myself determines how I think about things, which in turn again influences my mindset. So if I think I am a strong, confident person, like somebody said, I am a go-getter, I am an achiever, I am fun-loving man. Now that predominantly will determine how that person will view a situation. And then what is the response of that may influence my self-esteem. That I may feel, okay, in this case I could not achieve this particular goal, so maybe I am not that strong a go-getter. It may influence, or it may not. Saying, okay, in this situation I didn't get it, so what? It's always possible to, but the first thing is that how I look at myself.
So, to conquer fear, suppose if I am afraid of water, then I should go into water and like that. That is what I do.
Yeah, so obviously fear will go like that only. When we start practicing and when we start facing that fear, then that fear goes. Now, just see this one small video. As we are interacting, I just came to my mind. See this video about how the self-esteem works. This is a small clip from this movie called part-1.
As you wish. Let's finish this.
Okay, so what does this clip have to tell us?
Calming yourself and facing it head on.
Calming yourself, facing the situation. There could be different learnings, so this is one.
Whether you take it or flip it.
You take it or
Flip it back.
flip it or return it.
confidence that you have.
Confidence that you have.
Right. Tit for tat. Tit for tat.
Tit for tat.
Fearlessness.
Fearless.
Can you second take with courage?
Yeah, so different learnings in this clip. One of the aspects is this, that how, see in life these are situations, those things which were fired at him, the cannonballs which were fired at him, those are the provocative situations, they will always come to us. How I look at myself is a very important factor. If I say that I am a strong person and I can face this and I am going to handle this well and yet be peaceful, then I will respond in that way. So my self-esteem, my self-belief, my self-confidence is a very, very important factor in being able to respond consciously and positive. And so in managing emotions, more than just managing anger, etc., it is the basis. Now earlier we saw about how to handle those impulsive moments, but now the basis of it is, how do I look at myself? What is my self-esteem? If my self-esteem is positive, it is strong, I feel good about myself, then I will face life that much more positive. And so in psychology, it always said that self-love is the basis of all healthy emotions in life. And unfortunately, you will find that not many people love themselves. Not only they don't love themselves, they condemn themselves. They constantly keep criticizing themselves. There is one voice inside which keeps on telling, you are no good, you can't do much. तुमसे क्या होगा? System is so powerful. How will you even manage it? Nobody is even going to listen to you. Constantly there will be one defeatist in the mind which will keep on pulling us down. And when I am in that kind of a deprived situation or in a deficient situation, it is not possible for me to reply positively all the time. I will naturally get angry, upset, lose my calm, because I am not happy with myself. Dr. Abra will tell you more about that happiness and all that, how it affects the world. So self-love is something which is very necessary, and my self-talk must be positive. If I love myself, then that self-talk about myself is positive. Self-talk is what I tell myself about myself. That's why those 10 adjectives that you wrote down. You can count out of those 10 how many are positive and how many are negative. And even if those negative are there, do I look at them objectively or do I brand myself as bad because of them? That psychological branding is what creates the feeling of inferiority in us. That I am not good enough, I am not capable, I am incompetent. All that happens because I don't look at myself objectively, even with the weakness part. So it is not selfish to love oneself, and one should love oneself. What does it mean to love oneself? It means to feel good about oneself as one is, with the strengths and weaknesses. Loving oneself does not mean I become selfish, and not loving oneself means I become egoistic. Sometimes one feels that how can I love myself? It is so egoistic to love myself. I should be able to love other people, but I can't love other people till I have a good image about myself. I love myself, I am a happy person. Then I will be able to do that with others. And people who are having such high self-esteem, positive self-esteem, they love themselves, they build good teams, they are good leaders. And if I am a boss, all the more better I must have this. Or I am a leader, all the more better I must have this. Somehow there is a wrong notion in the mindset that when I control, when I throw my weight around, when I get angry, when I shout, when I exercise power, then I am powerful. That's weakness. Power comes when I am loving, when I am sensitive, when I can understand, when I can take people along. One of the beautiful lines I read somewhere is the success of a person is determined by the smiles of people around me. That are people around me happy? Is my team happy? Is my colleague happy? Is somebody looking forward to work with me? or they are waiting, they are let this project get over and I want to shift this team, I don't like to be here. So that all stems from the self-love. Now, do I really love myself, and do I love myself more than my limitations? That is another important point. Everybody has limitations, who doesn't have? If I can treat my limitations objectively, then only I can treat the limitation of other person also objectively. Otherwise we take it psychologically. We brand, we judge, we start working out of a certain prejudice. So my self-talk must be positive and so should be my visualization. These are just some examples you can create for your own self. What are those things where I have a negative self-talk? When you have time, you can sit down and write down. These are certain repetitive thought patterns which go on in my mind, which keep telling me that, let us say, one line may be, I am not punctual. I have a big problem with time management. I don't think I can ever be a good time manager. Now that goes on in my mind. And because of that, I brand myself psychologically, saying that, I can't be successful because I don't know how to manage time. Now that goes on, round. Or somebody told me something, it does their feedback. That, you are not a good public speaker. Oh, now that goes on in my mind. So, which are those areas where I have a negative self-talk, which I keep emphasizing? I should identify those and make them into positive self-talk. So, some of these are the antidote for what generally goes on in my mind. My life is in balance. Today, so many people feel so distressed about this. There's no balance in my life, there's no balance in my life. That goes on in the mind. There's no balance, there's no balance, there's no balance. And the way the mind works is this. Mind does not know what not to do. The mind only knows what to do. So if I say that there is no balance, nothing will happen. It will only further create imbalance. Suppose I say, for the next 2 minutes, don't think of a red apple. Red apple you should not think of. Anything else you think, but don't think of a red apple. Red apple is something which is, if you eat once a day, you will be healthy, but don't think of a red apple. What will happen? Mind will go on thinking only of red apple. Because mind doesn't know what not to do. If I say don't be angry, mind doesn't know. If I say don't live a imbalanced life, mind doesn't know. Mind only thinks imbalance. So my life is in balance. I am enjoying my work. I have time for myself and my family. I do what I really love. I am a happy person. These are just some general examples. Now I can repeat this to myself if I find these are my negative self-beliefs. In psychology, they also call this as self-limiting beliefs. These are beliefs which limit me. And when I have a lot of self-limiting beliefs, that is when I feel very inhibited. I don't feel free, I don't feel that I can be very productive, I can achieve what I want to. So what do you observe here? Anyone? Yes?
7 plus 3 is not 11, it's 10.
7 plus 3 is supposed to be 10, yes, okay?
Last one, 10 into 20 is
10 into 20 is 210.
And 45 minus 10 is 35.
Ultimately 35.
7 are right.
7 are right. No? 7 are right, correct? So how many equations there?
9.
9. How many correct? 7. I just threw it as a doubt. 7 are correct. And how many wrong? 2. But what generally happens?
Attention goes to the
Our attention goes to the 2 which are Not that one should not notice it, there's nothing wrong in noticing it, but typically the focus goes there. And the law of the mind is what you focus will flourish. So if I focus on the negative, that will flourish. If I focus on the positive, that will flourish. This same thing happens to us in our personality. When I look at myself, positive things, good aspects, my own strengths, then I build on it. But if predominantly fault finding happens, then there is a problem. And lot of growth, so-called growth we go through, is we feel by finding fault. But it doesn't work like that.
There are some professions, say for example teachers or auditor, chartered accountants, where we are supposed to
Identify the mistake.
identify errors.
Yeah.
But then sometimes we have to also understand that this is not the way life should be lived.
Exactly.
It's okay, it's for this purpose, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like I was telling somebody that if you have 100 things and 2 are wrong, and if I have to make a report, I'm not going to make a report that these 98 are correct. I mean, actually, if 98 were wrong, then I would say these 2 are correct. I mean, I would make a report which is an exception report. But that is something which is professional related or work related. In normal life, you carry that and you go to a wedding and say, this light is not enough. So you're used to it, you're carrying that thing there. That is something which one has to realize that I don't have to look at one light which is not enough. I look at the total and say that yes,
So this would happen even when even as a profession, I agree you have to find those errors to report. But mentally I can always say that 98 are good. I will not write it there. But that training, because it's the same mind, you can't split. At one time it finds something both positive and negative, and other time only the negative part. So it has to be trained in that way. So the focus has to be, even in the case of teachers, actually speaking in the case of teachers it is more relevant that the growth in a child happens more by encouragement and not by fault finding. The more we start finding the fault, we start making the person feel I am inadequate. In the later part of the day, we will speak about the way to give constructive criticism also. And how to give a criticism in such a way that the person doesn't feel discouraged. At the same time, work also gets more efficient. So same way, the teacher also has to be able to give that. That when I give a certain feedback to a child, the child feels encouraged, but the areas of improvement one starts working on. That aspect of emotions is something which can come when I have that good self-esteem about myself. Otherwise, typically what happens, people derive their happiness by putting others down, which is not a very good way to live. Which makes me unhappy, which makes the other person unhappy. It's a lose-lose situation. And one feels that if I do that, then only the mistake will be corrected. If I don't do that, this mistake will keep happening. But that is not true. We will see how this will happen as we go on. Some of the self-defeating thoughts that go on in the mind are these. I have just given a few examples. I am shy, I am nervous, I am clumsy, I am forgetful, I am not a go-getter, I am poor at making reports, I am very weak, I am stupid, I am careless, I am unorganized. This all go on in the mind, and if we allow people who tell us this to have the power to embed it very strongly in our mind, then we will have this. We will keep repeating this. But I don't have to psychologically repeat these. I may notice, okay, I am not very good at making report. It's a functional issue. I can work on it. If I feel that I am not a go-getter, then I can identify what is that which I am very passionate about. In that I will be a go-getter. So suppose I ask you, if you have a tooth problem, what will you do? If your tooth is aching, what will you do? Go to a dentist. Will you sit down and whine? What a fool I am. I got a toothache. There is no worse idiot than me. You will never say that. Why? Because toothache is a physical problem. I need to go to a dentist, get it cured. Over. Same way, if I am not very careful, or if I am not very good at making reports, or if I am not a go-getter, it is just one aspect of my personality. I can isolate it from my personality, treat it very well, improve it. Why do I link it to my self-esteem? Third line here says, I am too honest, caring, straightforward. Many people think it is a weakness. And you know, in the corporate world, Swamiji, you will be trampled. You will become a doormat. You can't be straightforward and honest. You have to manipulate. You have to learn how to manipulate. You may be learning how to be diplomatic where you need to be diplomatic, but manipulation we don't need to learn. We can be aware that this is the way people can manipulate, that alertness we can have. I don't have to learn to manipulate. Straightforwardness, honesty, being caring, sensitive are values which are strong values, which make a person strong. It is not a weakness. We think that good people are dumb people. Good people are weak people. But real goodness is a strength in itself. That is called aggressive goodness. When I am passively good, then I am open for exploitation. But when I am aggressively good, where I have that strength and faith in my own goodness, that things around me cannot make me negative. In the same country where we live, so many people think about India's population is there, poverty is there, corruption is there, illiteracy is there, all that. But none of that affects a person who is inspired from within. Dr. Kalam is so inspired. And when we met him, it's so inspiring to meet him. He has such a positive vision for the country. In 2003 when we met him, he was the president and he said that I want to meet 1 lakh youth of India personally and inspire them. That was his vision. And how much he speaks positive. Doesn't allow the negativity to pull him down. So if I have that strength within myself, and that comes from my conviction of my value system, of how I look at myself. So these are just some of the self-defeating thoughts. There are many more which we may have, many varieties may be there. But I have to find out those. And one of the beautiful lines that helped Dr. Kalam when he was very dejected, that he could not become a pilot. One of the lines that helped him most are the line that Swami Shivanandaji told him from a scripture called Tiruppuram. It's a Tamil scripture written by a great saint called Tiruvalluvar. And that line is, defeat, the defeat is in you. And in each one of us there is a defeatist which keeps on making us feel incompetent, low, not up to the mark, not good enough for facing the challenges of the world. I must defeat the defeatist in me by consciously invoking the positive aspects and the strengths of mind. So we say that drop the regrets. Don't allow the regrets to label you or to limit you. More than the limitations, know your own worth. And we must know what is my worth, not be bogged down by my limitations. I have limitations, everybody has. This is not to justify the limitation, but this is to put them in a context and start working objectively. I'll end with this session I end with this small experiment. This is a 1,000 rupee note. Anybody wants it? Only one? Nobody else wants it?
You're trying to analyze what you right.
Huh?
What's the catch in it?
What's the catch in it? I didn't say there's any catch.
Just go and take it.
Wait, thank you. So if I say that I am going to fold this into 4, will you still want it?
Yes.
If I make it very small, then you still want it. If I put it down and trample upon it and then take it up, you will still want it. Why do you want it?
It's worth it.
Because it's worth 1,000 rupees. If I know what is my worth, no matter how much the world may trample upon me, how much the situations of life may be that I can't, I feel that I am incompetent, etc. They may make me feel like that, but if I know my worth, nothing can prevent me from being positive. So it is very important that we as individuals and in our team, the employees, we make people feel worthy. Our behavior must be such. That's called leading with positive emotion. If I find fault and I criticize, I only unnecessarily make them feel bad, growth will not happen. So we always say that see the goodness in yourself and see the goodness in others. Finding faults is something which upsets the emotion the maximum. Individually also it will upset me, in a team also it will upset. And that's why it is good to seek perfection, but it is not good to be a perfectionist. Who is a perfectionist? Who will ignore all the good things and one small little thing which is not proper come down heavily on them. So good to seek perfection, but not good to be a perfectionist. So let us strengthen our strengths and weaken our weaknesses. There's a nice subhashita which says this. We generally strengthen our weakness and weaken our strength. Subhashita says that there is no alphabet, amantram aksharam nasti. There is no alphabet which cannot be used in a mantra. Nasti mulam anaushadam. There is no herb or a plant which cannot be used in a medicine. Ayogya purusho nasti. There is no person who is incapable and useless. Yojaka tatra durlabha. Only the leader who can manifest that potential or the goodness out of that person is rare. So at this point we stop here with this idea that let us learn to be more accepting of ourselves, more positive of ourselves, and then lead from that positive emotion. I will stop here and we take a small break and we will come back here in a